Adolescence, especially in your 20s, is probably the best years of your life. This is the period when you were introduced to the real world after your teenage years. In these years you will understand what you are going to do with the rest of your life. Many people with horrible financial decisions end up ruining their 20s, the consequences of which will last for decades. Looking back, I did not know much about raising money, because I grew up in a family where my parents did not care about financial literacy, so I grew up with little knowledge about money. The only thing that mattered to my parents was my grades in school. Guess what? I made every financial mistake you can think of, and I could not raise good money. I was simple and thought I knew everything there was to know about fundraising. But if I go back in time, there are things I wished I knew. If I had known this, I would have made different financial decisions and guessed that I would have achieved financial freedom much sooner. So if you are in your 20s and younger, what I want to share with you about raising money is really useful, because it is not the case that when you reach a certain age, Yahoo learn the way to get rich and it will be easy for you to attract money. Aren't there still 40 or 50-year-olds who make financial mistakes? So watch this video to the end, because the things I say are very important. Do not try to do everything yourself to raise money. At the time, I thought I could do anything myself. What do I need a colleague for when I can get ahead of everyone? But the fact is that having a partner or colleague in any project prevents mistakes and wasted time, because you always need a partner to balance you. It does not matter if it is a startup, a small business, or a YouTube channel, if you can find a partner who is equally interested in the project. Yes, of course you have to split the profits or part of the cartoon business, but it is much better to split a very large cake than to have a very small cake for yourself. It does not matter how smart and talented you are, especially when you are young, because you are not perfect. You definitely make mistakes to raise money, so you need someone by your side to tell you that you are wrong and vice versa. Every project I started with a partner has always grown much faster than the projects I did alone. So do not be arrogant and learn how to work with a team. Remember, you are very young at the moment and your information is very limited. So always be ready to look the other way. You may be right, but you can also be wrong. Having an open mind saves time and money. Do not be naive. If I could say just one thing when I was young, I would say, don't be naive. When you are a 20-year-old college kid, you think you understand everything. You plan a lot, and when you get a little older you realize how simple you were, because the way the world works is completely different, or you think that because you work hard, you deserve a lot, but when you grow up you realize that no one cares about your hard work, because what matters is the end result. Know that in order to save money, your grades do not matter to anyone. Once you are at work, what matters is how much you contribute to the growth of that company, not your grades. Do not take on financial responsibility that you cannot afford. I have many friends who fell in love in their youth and in their 20s, got married and their children are now going to school. I feel old when I talk to them because I have no children, and I am not even married. But the problem is that they are not financially ready, so at the moment they cannot raise money and save, and of course they are no longer 20 years old, and because they have to cover the family expenses, all their income is spent on daily expenses, and it cannot be said that the spouse and put their children aside. Also, because they have a lot of responsibility, the thought of losing their job scares them because they may be able to cover some of their expenses, but they cannot sacrifice their families for this. So they continue to work and are willing to do anything to preserve it. They are somehow pushing themselves to a corner, and now they have to stay there for the rest of their lives and get used to the salary by month lifestyle. When you have a job, your career path follows a path. You do not upgrade every day or even every year. So every time you get a small upgrade, you save more money and your quality of life goes up a bit, which means spending more. And if one day, God forbid, you cannot use your credit card, you will stay in the whole bill in debt. So think before you take any financial responsibility. Avoid wasting money to collect money. One of the worst things you can do is create a bad and expensive habit, especially when you are young and do not have much income. Because first of all, you waste all the extra money you want to save and invest for one more pack of cigarettes, drinks, bets or any other expensive bad habit. In addition, the opportunity cost of that habit is much higher than you can even imagine. Opportunity cost means how much that money was worth if you invested it in other ways. You do not need a lot of money for fun and entertainment. We always think that we have to pay a lot of money for entertainment, which is true to some extent, but not quite. Yacht rental, a big party or a trip around the world and staying in expensive leisure hotels, but there are many ways to have fun without much cost. For example, you can go camping with your friends or play basketball and football, or travel and use cheaper accommodation and much more. Some of my best pastimes are when I spend the least money on them. In fact, it is not a matter of raising money, but it is important that you feel good and have fun. Especially when you have good friends, you can enjoy all the entertainment in the world without wasting a century of money. Remember the cost of the opportunity we talked about. Even if you can afford a lot of fun, do not do it. You better invest the money you have saved. Know that the bigger you get, the higher your costs, so having more money is a wiser choice. Of course, I do not mean that you should not spend anything. There is no point in just keeping money, but you have to be responsible for what you have. Of course, there are more points that could be said in this article, but I limited them to 5. If you feel like doing something in this decade of wrong life, share it with us in the comments.